Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and a quick little sojourn into Xenoblade is in order. The saga of Xenoblade Chronicles continues. We covered the world of Xenoblade 1, and I think the best way to tackle this series is by tackling 1 and 2 at the same time. So we handled the world of Xenoblade 1, so let's talk about the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. For me, Elysium is my favorite, and I hope to properly articulate why in this video. Let's get started. The world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like pretty much every Xenoblade as well, is rather poetic. It's giant and grandiose with beautiful vistas to uncover and explore, but one of the key identifying traits of a Xenoblade game is that its world is a representation of the game's theme and message. And Xenoblade 2 is by no means an exception. Xenoblade 2 is all about dreams. The main character, Rex, dreams of Elysium, in this broken, shattered, tattered, fragmented world that they call Alrest, the place they call home. It is fraught with empires on the brink of collapse due to a lack of resources, theocratic nations, and a whole world seemingly out for itself. The people always look to the sky, to the center tree, in the middle of it all, the world tree, and what lies at the top of it, Elysium, a promised wonderland, a utopia, where all the pain, all the suffering, all the existential crises that plague the people of Alrest, you can leave it at the door and experience tranquility and pure bliss in the throes of Elysium. The entire point of the game is Rex trying to bring Pyra and Mithra to Elysium. Your party is composed of various people with different backgrounds and beliefs, but all vie to find Elysium for one reason or the other. The world itself is simply dying, and people do what people do best. Try and find a way out of it. What lies beneath the clouds that they call the Cloud Sea is nothing more than a graveyard, a monument to all the sins of humanity's past, while everyone lives in terror of the day that the titan they call home, that they ride on the backs of, will fall below that cloud layer, down into the forgotten waste below of Mortha. Given these constraints, it's perfectly understandable why the people would yearn for Elysium, why Rex himself would yearn for Elysium. He's a young boy who dreams big, he's idealistic. And for a story about this idea of chasing dreams, trying to make legend come to life, the world of Alrest is, funnily enough, perfect for this idea. The giant world tree is the one obstacle that stands in everyone's way of claiming Elysium for their own, to escape the madness of this world, and of society on the whole, to escape it all. And only one man has ever done it before, but they came back. One of my favorite elements of storytelling is when the story itself is able to insert and almost inject its theme and message into nearly every crevice and opening that the story has. And the world of Xenoblade 2 is beautiful because it's able to encapsulate this idea so well. The entirety of the game takes place upon these titans, these last refuges that people are able to call home. But always in the distance, whenever you're outside, able to see the stars, you can always see the world tree in the distance. It's always there, it's ever present. You try to go there, but you're blocked, whether it's because of the artifice patrolling it, or it's because of how steep the world tree actually is. If you want to claim Elysium for yourself, you have to brave the harsh realities of this world. And for the better part of this game, Elysium is simply that, it's a dream. Borderline a legend, a fairy tale. Most people haven't been up there. Amalthus says he has, and some people take faith and stock in that, but it's not the world that people call home for the most part. But all the struggles, all the war, all the strife that people suffer from. The tale of humanity in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 encircles the world tree, and therefore encircles Elysium that's at its top. And while everyone dreamed of a better tomorrow, of a paradise just beyond reach, the big reveal of the game, the grandest irony of it all, is that Elysium was nothing more than an illusion. Like Mortha, another monument to the sins of humanity's past. What Rex thought was a utopian dreamscape of rolling green fields, bespeckled with civilization, was nothing more than a sandy, desolate wasteland. filled with ruins to humanity's past. And to borrow a quote from one of my other favorite games of all time, Halo Combat Evolved, nothing remained but dust and echoes. Well, also Klaus, the man whose maddening ambitions sundered the world in twain. And now he rests, like a final boss, funnily enough, at the top of it all, awaiting anyone brave enough to climb the world tree to chase after Elysium. One of the beautiful details about the world tree to me that I've held for the longest time, but I've never really talked about, is how the boughs of the world tree at the very top, all the branches and the leaves, they seemingly blend into the environment. They seemingly blend into the sky. It creates this beautiful effect where it feels as if the world tree becomes part of the heavens itself. And because of spoilers at the end of the game, yeah, it kind of is, because it extends beyond the atmosphere of the world. There's a lot of comparisons between Elysium and dreams themselves. They're often, at least seemingly fleeting, borderline ephemeral, and the fact that the top of the world tree blends into the sky mirrors this idea. The beauty of Xenoblade 2 in a lot of ways for me is that it's very upfront and easy to understand on a surface level, but the more you dig beneath its surface, the more layers you peel back, the more and more you find out. The more substance that is actually there, just below the surface, that you may not have realized at first, but is absolutely there, and you may have even picked up on it subconsciously. I've played Xenoblade 2 numerous times, and it's at least seems as if every time I play the game, I find something new to appreciate about it that I never bothered to pay attention to before. One of the greatest revelations I had about Xenoblade 2 that really made me sit back and appreciate it was about its world with Elysium, and that the Elysium everyone was striving for throughout the game was a fairy tale. They sought an easy answer to all of life's issues, to all the sins of humanity. That easy answer doesn't exist. What awaited them at the very top of the world tree was nothing more than, like I said before, dust and echoes. But the true Elysium that was created was the world that they set out to create through blood, sweat, and effort at the very end of it all. It wasn't a paradise of milk and honey. It wasn't a utopic landscape or anything like that. In fact, the world they arrive at the very end of Xenoblade 2 looked rocky and almost desolate of itself, but it was empty. And it was empty because it was essentially a sandbox that the people who survived, the people who willed it, the people who still want to survive to work to a better world, they can create the Elysium for themselves. To start over, all over again, without the same systems that encompassed Xenoblade 2, the same ideas that basically shackled everybody throughout Alrest. They can set out on their own, and with each other create a better world. We get a glimpse of that in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but we haven't actually seen a whole lot of the new Alrest. But to me, this is one of the greatest details of Xenoblade 2, because it's the perfect representation of dreams as a whole. It's never given to you, or at least for most of us, it's not given to us. It's not some finish line that we can simply cross and then just say, okay, we're all good, we're done. No, the story ever goes onward. This dream that we all want to cultivate and to create and to foster, there's no real end goal for it. You have to keep working at it, day in and day out. You simply go to sleep and the next day you grab the shovel out of the dirt from where you ended yesterday at, and you continue onwards. And it can be hard and grueling and painful, but you keep going at it because you believe that at some point that it'll all mean something. That at some point you will be able to live the life you so truly want. That is the beauty of Xenoblade Chronicles 2's world. That Elysium wasn't that finish line. It wasn't some place above the clouds that they could just go to and not have to worry about the state of humanity or the human condition anymore. It was a blank slate, and people en masse would have to come together and try, and really try to overcome their differences. Because if they didn't, it would end up as Alrest was. But if they manage it, then something new, something beautiful could be made, could be created. Like Rex and like everyone else in Xenoblade 2, we as people can be told throughout our entire lives to go and chase our dreams, to achieve our dreams. Well, it's never really a matter of achieving them. There's no real finish line. All of our worries, all of our stresses, all of the things that worry us as people won't simply go away because someone flicks their wrist or snaps their fingers. We have to be willing to put in the work to create the world that we actually want, to create that Elysium. Because that Elysium doesn't exist. We have to make it. And for the world that's dying in Xenoblade 2, you can't escape that world. That is the world we have. and we have to make the best of it. Throughout most of Xenoblade 2, Elysium is borderline implicitly stated to be this escape. That the dying world that we all start to leave would be cast aside much like Moritha was. But it's always there, right below the surface. And the grand reveal of Xenoblade 2 was that the world we had was the world we had. There was no blissful utopia we could all just simply escape to, as we talked about in the dream metaphor. No, this is the world we call home, and we have to take good care of it. We have to work together to make it hospitable, because otherwise it'll simply die around us, slowly, and we'll suffer the consequences for that. Like I said, Xenoblade 2 can be very simple on the surface, but you can always poke a little bit more at it, and get a little bit more out of it. And that's what I find so special about it. And I think with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It'd really help the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody, till we meet again.